What do you think about before buying a car? Maybe how it looks, or its mileage, or seating capacity. But what about safety? It's not really been a factor for Indian buyers, and it's time we change that. India is the third biggest car market in the world. Around 3.8 million vehicles are sold every year. Great numbers, yes. But the road accident numbers are quite the opposite. India reports 47 accidents every hour. 47 every hour. Put together, they claim 18 lives. That's 18 deaths every hour because of road accidents. So statistically, India's roads are among the most dangerous in the world. How do we fix that? Well, the government is focusing on car safety. Safer cars equal fewer deaths. A new national safety rating has been created. It's called Bharat NCAP. NCAP stands for New Car Assessment Program. I know it sounds complicated, but it's basically a crash test. Let me explain how it works. Car makers can sign up to get Bharat NCAP rating. It's not mandatory. Auto companies can choose to do it or not. But once they sign up, they're tested on two things. One is structural integrity, like how strong is your car's cabin? How big a crash can it survive? The second thing they test is passenger protection levels. Basically, how safe will you be if your car crashes? You may have seen these tests online. Cars are purposely crashed in multiple angles, like front first or side first. The idea is to see what the impact is. And based on the result, each car gets a rating. It's between 0 stars and 5 stars. 0 obviously is the worst rating, 5 is the best. Now, just to be clear, these ratings do not impact sales. Even if a car gets 0 rating, it can still be sold, provided you're willing to buy it. Now, you may ask, what's the point then? Why test these vehicles and give them stars? Well, for two reasons. One, it gives customers an idea. Say you prefer safety over everything else, then chances are you will prefer cars with a higher rating, maybe 4 or 5. And secondly, it improves the credibility of Indian cars. If you want to export, credibility is very important. Now look at these numbers. In 2021, India exported 400,000 passenger cars. In 2022, it increased to 570,000. That's a 42% increase in exports. How do you sustain this growth? By making better cars. Not just in terms of features and looks, but also in terms of safety. It's one area where Indian cars have fallen behind. In global crash tests, most Indian models have scored poorly. I have a list for you. Maruti Suzuki Wagon-R scored 1 star. The Swift scored 2 stars. The Hyundai i10, also 2 stars. Creta and Kia Seltos, both 3 stars. Now, these are some of the best-selling cars in the country, yet their safety rating is poor. What explains this? Well, in India, car makers focus on two things. That's features and mileage. Safety has always been a secondary concern. It's also an expensive concern. If you add more safety features, your cost will increase, and India is a price-sensitive market. So what do car makers do? They cut corners on safety regulations. The idea of Bharat NCAP is to prevent this, to urge car makers to use safety as a selling point. We rarely see that in India. Companies usually market cars based on their mileage or features, but safety almost never. And this is the attitude that we need to change. It can't be safety or affordability. It must be safety and affordability. There are many agencies that conduct such crash tests on cars. One such agency is the Global NCAP. It's a charity registered in the UK. It carries out random crash tests on cars. The Bharat NCAP draws heavily from the Global NCAP, just one major difference. This test will be done by a government agency, and it's a good start, but the rest is up to car makers. Around 30 car models have signed up for these tests. Hopefully, it will be the start of a safety revolution. Having said that, voluntary ratings alone will not help. You also need legally enforced regulations. India has introduced some of them in the recent past, like airbags for the front seats, or ABS, anti-lock braking system. But more needs to be done. For example, why are airbags mandatory only in the front seats? Surely all passengers are important. So testing and rating should be accompanied by regulation. If not, the ratings will be ignored. As for customers, we need to think differently. Safety is not a luxury in cars. It's a basic necessity that we're all entitled to. Think like that and the car makers will change.